Hello, in today's video I'm going to be making a laptop riser for my laptop here. In the plans that I have drawn out, I've made sure that this laptop riser is able to support smaller laptops such as 11-inch laptops, standard laptops, which is what my laptop is. A standard laptop, as of recording this video, is a 15.3-inch display, so the riser also supports that display and it supports 17-inch laptops as well. So what I've got here are the actual plans. I will just point out that as of recording the intro, I have built the riser. And I feel it's appropriate to say that this is a laptop riser. It is not a laptop cooler. There are no fans integrated into this riser. It simply just elevates a laptop off the surface to allow more air to get around the laptop, because usually laptops only have very small feet and it restricts the amount of airflow beneath the laptop. Now I know that I have created a laptop riser, but with the way I've elevated the laptop off the surface, if you want to, you can stick just a desktop fan behind the riser and just blow fresh circulated cool air beneath the riser, which will aid with cooling. But the main purpose of this riser is simply to elevate the laptop off the surface, allowing more air to pass underneath it. It is not designed as a cooler, it's just designed as a riser, which is why I'm calling it a laptop riser and not a laptop cooler. With all of that said, I think it is now the appropriate time to jump cut to me drawing out the plans onto a block of wood. The wood in question for this project is MDF. This is 3/4 of an inch thick. Originally, I was planning on it to be 1 inch thick wood, but when I went and had a look at what wood I had, I only had 3/4 of an inch, so it is 3/4 of an inch thick. But that really doesn't matter. The final product is still to the dimensions of the plans, and well, it works as I originally intended it to work. So with all of that said, let's get on to me drawing out the plans. So now what I'm going to do is take these plans and draw them out onto this board. So I'll probably just time-lapse this bit because it probably will take a while, because I want to make sure I get all the dimensions correct, because while I have plenty of wood to make another one, I can probably make another 3 or 4 of them with the amount of wood I've got, but still I want to get it right on the first attempt so I don't need to go through the process again. So let's begin. And there are the plans drawn onto the board. So as you can see, I've been really efficient with material usage, because the only waste bit I have in here is actually this triangle bit here. If I designed it a bit better, I could have flipped this one, then tessellated it down onto this one, and that way I would have no waste material. But now I've drawn it out like this, I only have that little triangle bit of waste material, which I'm perfectly fine with. As you can see, I've got loads more wood if I need to do it again, and to cut out some different designs of these risers that I've designed. And I actually have 2 of these boards, because these boards were the boards that the old train set was nailed to, and I kept the wood because I knew it would come in useful, and I've now found a use for it for making this laptop riser. So yeah, there's the plans drawn out on the board, and now all I need to do is go and cut them out. So I shall see you down in the garage when I've got everything set up, and I will begin cutting them out. So now what I'm going to do is cut down that line there, right over to that line which I didn't record me cutting, and then I'll just have this little panel, and I can then go about cutting the individual pieces from there. We'll also point out I don't have an educated background on what I'm doing, and I may be doing something dangerous. There we go. So now I'm going to cut down this line here. Of course, once I've mounted it to the table. Oh. And that's why you use clamps. Right, put a clamp on before I let go. I would put this clamp closer to there, but there's a table structure thing here, so I can't fit the clamp there. need to put down that line. So I shall do that next. So now I'll flip this bit around, cut, in fact no, I'll cut down like that, yeah. No, I can't mount the clamp anymore here. Nope. This is going to be very dangerous, but I'll mount it like this. May as well cut the other one while this setup's set up. That will have to hold it, I'm afraid. Right, there's laptop support 1. But okay. Right, I'm not sure I'm going to figure this one out for the camera, so I'll just be back once I've finished. In order for me to find the centre of like the square inches where I plan on putting the holes, I've created this little 2x2 inch little square, which tells me I need to put a hole there and put another hole there, and I'm just going to repeat that for the 4 corners on this bit of wood. Now I need to measure out and put the holes on these as well if I'm going to screw it in. I think about there and there should be fine. Hopefully these holes will align, because if they don't, I'll need to redo them. There. So now I need to drill out these holes. So I don't know if you recorded me cutting those holes, but I just checked the camera and it wasn't recording. So yeah, it might not be recording. Oh, right. Apparently I didn't tighten this up enough. Now I can't get it out. These don't look too good, but come on, come on. There we go. Right, tighten the chuck up properly this time. Okay. Did I just drill a hole through the workbench? No. There's those holes complete. Right, now I just need to drill the holes along those lines. Right, that should work. Okay, so now I need to go and test fit it. So I've test fitted it and it seems to fit, and what I've done now is just made some countersink holes for the screw heads, as that is going to be the bottom of it, so I need the holes countersunk so the screws don't stick out. I need to make the countersinks a little bit wider, so I'll do that. Aha, perfect. Nice. Right, now I just need to screw the screws in. Okay, I've got the screws set in, now I just need to screw them in. So I'm going to do it gently. There's a laptop riser, complete. I'll probably get around to painting it one day, but that won't be today. I've had enough. Enough of this for one day, so now I'm going to tidy up and I will then take it back inside where I'll proceed to put my laptop on it, see if it fits. I mean, it should fit because I measured it out. So yeah, What you're looking at here is the final product. This is the laptop riser once it has been assembled. It's a very simple assembly. Literally just get a board, cut out the base, cut out these little riser bits and just screw it together. Very simple assembly. And another thing you may have noticed is that it is white. It's white because the wood is MDF and I wanted to at least get some form of coating on the MDF. Now I don't actually have any MDF or any wood sealer at all, but what I do have is some undercoat, so I just went and got that undercoat and gave it a few layers of undercoat. I know it's far from perfect, and as far as the painting goes it's far from finished, but as I've just said, I don't have any sealer, and I do intend on painting this black, but I don't actually have any black paint either, so it's going to stay as is until I get around to purchasing some sealer and some black paint to actually finish it properly. But yes, this is the laptop riser, and due to this wall being like a very light beige, it's not the best of contrast. Hang on a minute. Problem solved with this wooden board. I did make this riser a very simple design, and the reason why I made it as simple as I did was because originally I intended on making different like styles and different shapes of these risers. So all you would need to do is just unscrew this riser and then get like a different design of riser and screw it back on. But upon finishing it with this design of riser, I've decided to not go ahead and make any more risers. One reason is because this riser design works fine for my needs, and the second reason is I had to make all of these parts individually. I don't have a table saw, so if I were to make multiple risers it would just be a lot of messing about because there's no quick and easy way for me to create these risers. For those wondering about the dimensions of the riser, the height that I have up here is 5 inches, as you can see. I will zoom in on the video as well so you can better see that. Down here at this lower point here, like sort of behind this stop so the laptop doesn't slide off, I made that 2 inches tall, as you can again see there. And for this little riser bit to stop the laptop sliding off, I made that 3 inches tall. So it was very easy to just like design and measure out. And the distance between the two risers is about 8 1/3 inches, just over 8 inches. Originally I did measure it out to be 8 inches, but that was when I thought the MDF wood that I had was actually 1 inch thick, whereas this MDF wood is not actually 1 inch thick. So it did mean that a few measurements, such as the distance between the two risers, would be out by that missing 1/4 of an inch. If for some reason you can't figure out how to use it, all you need to do is put the riser on a flat surface, take your laptop, and put your laptop on the riser like that, and then you can begin working on your laptop on whatever you're working on. When I designed this riser, I made sure that this riser would support the largest laptop I own, which is actually this laptop. It's just a standard 15.3 inch display laptop. I won't go into the details of the laptop, it's got its own video. And as you can see, it does support this laptop. So if I just take this laptop off, and this is the smallest laptop I own, it's the little Asus eBook, and that also sits nicely on the riser. I mean, there's probably no benefit to putting this laptop on the riser anyway, because it's passively cooled, and the hottest temperature I've seen the CPU is like 52 degrees or something. But if for some very weird reason I want to put this laptop on the riser, I can do that. As you can see, when the laptop is on the riser, there is a lot more space below it, which will allow for better airflow, especially if you place a fan in front or behind the riser, but it's probably better to place it behind so it pulls air from the front, exhausting it out of the rear, so it's not blowing it towards the user. This air gap below the laptop also allows for the laptop's built-in fans to work more efficiently. This is because there is now a much greater volume of air below the laptop, so the fans will not be put under as much stress when compared to the laptop on its own feet on a work surface, where the fans will be trying to pull air under the laptop through the small 2 to 3 mm gap that it is raised by. To put this in a way to where you can hopefully better understand it, think of it as the laptop being on a work surface is like a human trying to breathe through a drinking straw. Now yes, it is possible and you can do it, but you will be limited to how much air you can breathe in and out through the small opening that the straw provides. But if you open your mouth, you can breathe the same volume of air that you could with the straw, but in a much smaller amount of time, allowing more oxygen to enter your body. So me raising my laptop off the work surface has effectively opened its mouth if I were to relate it to the paragraph I just said. And also, I hope that made sense. With all of that said, that brings us to the end of part 1, in which I draw out the plans and assemble the actual riser. If you watched the update video I did last week, it explains on why I'm deciding to start this video series and to split the creation of this riser up into 3 different parts. So if you haven't seen that, I'll put a link in the description to go and see it. But briefly explained, part 1 of the video series, which is the video you have just watched, consists of the drawing out of the plans onto the wooden boards, then the cutting out of the individual components and assembling it together. And once all of that was done, it's basically in this state. I did add a coat of paint just to get some form of barrier on the wood, because as it's MDF, I don't want like MDF particles floating about in the air. So I mainly just put the paint on it to seal it a bit, because I don't actually have any wood sealer. Part 2 of the video series will consist of me testing my laptop on the riser and comparing it to when it's not on the riser to ultimately determine if making the riser was any benefit to the laptop when I'm using it. Because logically it makes sense that the laptop should run a little bit cooler, but I want to see if there's actually any real world difference and basically answer the question, was it worth my time and effort even designing and building the riser? And part 3 will consist of finalizing the riser, so that will consist of sanding it all down, sealing it properly, and then giving it a few coats of paint, and then sealing again over the top of the paint just to protect it a bit, and that should be like the final rendition of the riser. But with all of that said, this is now the end of part 1, where you have seen me draw out, cut out and assemble the riser. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a like. If you didn't, give it a dislike, and also consider subscribing to see the future parts of this series and of course any other videos that I decide to bring to the channel. So with that, thank you for watching.